Alright. And we are live. Hooray, hooray. Time to give a little refresh to here and there. Get some music playing. And let's get the business a-going. Alright then. So, welcome one and all, of which it's just myself at the moment, to a recap live stream, or a recap episode of the Reigns of Vitrium campaign that I have been running for my friends. It's only been running for I want to say the past few months, since April, I want to say, but we haven't really accomplished as much of the main storyline as I would like to think. At the very least, they haven't, at the very least, managed to get to their main conquest yet. And I just noticed that I was streaming my own voice to myself. Don't worry about that too much. The echo will be gone momentarily. Still, we have a bit of a lot to cover. But first of all, I figured I might as well introduce you guys to the World of Mir first. So, within the World of Mir, we of course have the 7 countries that are present and accounted for here on this world map. We have, let me just move over here to this. We have Caligrant up in the north, which is kind of like a Northlandic type area. They're very isolationist in nature. They don't really talk to anyone too much. They've kind of walled up their border with Xanadu. Xanadu being this changeling focused area where changelings and mimics have kind of come together to make kind of like the premier tourist destination for anyone who wants to go there and be rich and affluent at the same time and have all their money stolen. Don't worry too much about it though. It's probably fine there. The Ember Sticks, which is over here, is a trading hub of sorts that is also a bit of a Tortuga in a way. A pirate nation of travelers, merchant vessels, and ships, and also pirates, because pirates are just cool and fun to play around with. Then we come down over here to the Kingdom of Celeste, which is a very magic-focused area or country, and it kind of like built a lot of its reputation on its idealization that those with magic are superior to normal people because they can perform the arcane arts and magical, wondrous feats of sheer power and so on and so forth. People think they're a bit stuck up, but we don't talk about them too much. Then we move over down here to Mirzai, which is a country currently embroiled in a bit of political strife as the rich and affluent upper class continue to, prostrate that this is the second gold rush and that Zimlite, the magical alchemical substance that is found within the soil there naturally, is the new gold. And it should be revered, and it should be mined and harvested, and you too can make a bang of a buck mining in Mirzai. Why don't you just come on down? The mining equipment is maybe free if you get enough Zimlite. And lastly, we have Vuori over here, which is kind of like a human-centric kingdom. They have a lot of undead problems, so as a result they don't like necromancy all too much, or other monstrous-type races like hags, lycanthropes, so on and so forth, but that's just, basic people, really. Of course, I should specify, this setting here was based off of a West March that me and a bunch of other GMs ran a while back, but I did get permission from the GMs of Vuori, Ember Sticks, Xanadu, and Mirzai specifically to use their countries within this little world map, and so on and so forth. Meanwhile, Celeste, Calligran, and Vitrium are all of my own design. So hey, I did a little less than half the work on the world map. Right. Of course. Moving along, that is the world itself, but this setting, or this campaign, takes place a majority of the time within the humble country of Vitrium, which I will move the map to right now so people can get a nice, lovely look at the pretty sights. And when I say pretty sights, I mean I'm going to zoom out a little bit more. There we go. So, this is the country of Vitrium. Now, Vitrium is a country or a kingdom of druids and wizards and rangers and folk of the land. It is a temperate rainforest type environment that has a mild quirk to the rain that comes within it. Once in a blue moon, or blue cloud I should say, the rain that falls in Vitrium is teal colored and absolutely beautiful to look at. It is luminescent as it falls from the sky and trails along the various coasts, the various land masses of Vitrium. However, this rain is magical in nature. In fact, it is so magical that it causes plants to rapidly grow and decay as a result. The denizens of Vitrium have learned over time to harvest the natural rains of Vitrium and use them to produce a new form of technology that they refer to as Floratech, which is basically creating a bunch of seeds and seed-based technology that they can use this magic rain to kind of help grow the plant to a particular stage in life before it, of course, rapidly decays and falls apart. The primary technology the primary way they've used this flora technology is to create the cities of, let me ping them for you guys, of Deepwood down here in the bottom of the map, and I believe the treetop villages of Tobor Skajal and get on my big map so I can read this. Achuk of and Achak. Don't worry about those names. They're hardly ever mentioned. Probably. But those are the main cities that have benefited from Floratech the most. They're the three cities that have been built into the trees using the magic rain as kind of like a catalyst to grow the trees in a specific way to where they can act as houses and, you know, form tree branch bridges in the treetops above and so on and so forth. And that is the main crux of Vitrium. That's their main export, is a lot of food, a lot of this plant-based technology, and a lot of druids, rangers, and so on and so forth. Now, our adventure and our adventurers began their journey within the city of Deepwood. Now, within the city of Deepwood, they were tasked with... Yes, thank you, Valen, for sending me this. Alright then, yes. The story so far is that our intrepid adventurers basically began their journey in Deepwood, which is kind of like the main capital city of Vitrium. It's the place where the Mages School is located, the School of Wizardry, with the big snake-like winding puzzle dungeon tower crafted by the mad Archmage Dralam Rivendell, whom is currently not of sound mind and is no longer on the ruling body of Deepwood as a result of such things. She's gone senile with age. This noggin woman who formed Deepwood is now not so much what she once was. But we don't talk about that for right now. But still, our intrepid adventurers met up in Deepwood, where Percival was being asked to escort a bunch of uncultured seeds to the city of Deepwood for you know, kind of like making a mark for themselves, kind of like to take these seeds and turn them into actual Floratech so they can be sold to other places. That was the reason why these seeds were being transferred from point A to point B. It was there that Percival, the name of the wagon owner, a green-skinned halfling witch-type personality, met up with Soren Wanderwind, a rabbit folk or Orictali samurai, Renswa, another Orictali, or shall I say rabbit folk, druid, and Vaylin, another Orictali, or shall I say rabbit folk cleric of the Grave Domain. Renswa is a Spores druid, by the by. And Soren is the actual samurai class from, DM's Guild. You can probably look it up easily enough. I will make sure to link in the description the content creator of that, specifically because I love the class and I found it fascinating, and I'm just glad one of my players gets to play it. But the four of them, naming themselves Hair Force 1, decided to basically hop up onto this caravan and kind of like go together as like caravan guards and caravanner, and they slowly made their way down to Deepwood. They passed by the Raincatcher, which is self-explanatory. It is the giant mechanical device in the center of all Vitrium that has like this big bowl-like satellite dish that just aims up at the sky and catches as much magic rain as it possibly can, and it processes it and it distills it down so it can be used in the production of Floratech. Go figure, right? The Raincatcher catches rain. But moving on down along that road, they eventually find themselves in the city of Deepwood. Now, Deepwood itself, in the city of Hardwood, names, am I right? They're all wood names. But, Deepwood is far different from Hardwood, which is where they were going, which is down here. Hardwood. Deepwood, while it has a lot of graffiti and a lot of paint just kind of like spattered all over it, a lot of cobblestones and streets and kind of like built on a hill, so that way it inclines itself from the top downwards, with the magic school at the very top of the city, and the rest of the city kind of like outlaid below it, with the market district built in the center and the residential districts built below that. Hardwood is built entirely in the treetops, where you have this long, winding stairway of wood that curls around these massive redwood trees that are, like, twice as big as normal redwoods in, like, in reality, which are fucking massive. They're, like, twice as big as normal redwoods. Just absolutely massive. But you have these large, winding stairways that go up and around these trees, up to the very treetops of them, where you have a bunch of the settlements kind of like carved and formed into the trees themselves, made out of living trees. And above each of these little stairwells that lead up to the top of the building, or up to the top of the trees, are these long tube-like lines of this magic rain, and a druid at the very top of it, which is there as a defense mechanism. You mess with the tree, or you mess with the city of Hardwood, that druid is basically just going to shut down your only way up. Aside from climbing, which, I don't need to tell you this, but They have the high ground. Not going to go too well for them, I would imagine. But once in the city of Hardwood, they met up with a witch. You know, got a couple charms and pendants for themselves. They had a bit of a ball there. They delivered the seeds, got paid, and it was at that point in time the master of both Vaylin and Rensois, a archdruidess by the name of Mel, sent a sending spell to her, to Rensois specifically, and said to her, "Hey, dearie, I need you to come pick someone up for me. Why don't you bring your little companions with you? I actually even have a job for all of you." To which, you know, Rensois was able to get Percival to agree to come with, and Soren as well, but the four of them eventually made their way from Deepwood through the Wandering Woods. No, around the Wandering Woods. Yeah, no, they went around. They did the smart thing. They went around the Wandering Woods. And they eventually made their way to this location between the Bramble and the Wandering Woods. Now, for those who do not know, which is probably everyone watching the stream, the Wandering Woods is a collection of forest that is comprised of awakened trees, bushes, shrubs, and all kinds of plant-based monstrosities, and it tends to shift itself around. Now, used to be there was a clan of individuals known as the Merritt clan that used to live there in the Wandering Woods, but they have since made their way out of there and no longer act as guides for the strange forest. So it is very easy to get lost in there, and a lot of people who do get lost in there find themselves never returning to the outside world again. Meanwhile, you have the Bramble, which is kind of like the opposite of the Wandering Woods. The Bramble is this point of contention within Vitrium that the populace itself is at war with currently, although you couldn't really tell that much by it unless you went to Morningwood. The Bramble is a very dangerous location. It is often considered that unless you are a highly ranked adventurer group, or you are within the military of Morningwood, and you have a lot of artifacts or magical items or prowess in your field, you do not go into the Bramble unless you do not expect to return. At least not deep into the Bramble. The exterior or outskirts of the Bramble is finicky at best, but within it you have these plant-based zombies that kind of, you know, creep around, and they have this infection that they spread through this black spiny-like growth that kind of like grows along them that they call the brambling. And what it does is it infects your body and it slowly takes control of it. And it is not known what happens to the host of this parasitic plant life, or this parasitic bioorganic growth of some kind. It's unsure as to what it is because not a lot of research has been done into it, because researching it is fairly dangerous. But what is known is that whenever you are controlled by the Bramble entirely, that's it. There's nothing that can be done to save you. The most that can be done if your arm gets infected, for example, is to just lop it off. Hope you live. But that is neither here nor there. The Archdruidess Mel happens to live in between the Bramble and the Wandering Woods, and she acts as kind of like a buffer or a barrier between the two of them, driving back whatever Bramblites might try and make their way into the Wandering Woods to infect it and spread their plant-like disease further outwards. Now, Mel is a show to players. We will show this to everyone. Yeah, sure. art by my lovely partner, but this is Mel, Art Druidess of Vitrium, and sorry about that, master to both Valen and Rensois. And as the party arrives there, they meet their fifth companion, Agatha the Desecrator, as they call him. And Agatha the Desecrator is a kobold necromancer, following sort of in line with his master and so on and so forth. However you wish to do that, or however you wish to say that at the very least. But this is, of course, Mastermel. She, whenever she encounters the party, says, "Hey, everyone! Wonderful to meet you all! Awesome, cool. I have a job for all of you. First of all, here's the new apprentice I took in recently." Agatha, being sweet being that he is, immediately endeared himself to the group. Don't worry about him too much. She, Mel, gives the party a quest. They are to go into a puzzle dungeon, and they are to retrieve a very particular artifact for her. This purple orb that has an item within it that she is seeking ever so desperately. Though maybe not as desperately as some people like to believe. Their task is, simply put, go into the puzzle dungeon, grab the item, and then vamoose with it. And so they do. They begin to make their way up through here, encountering a black dragon on the way up and paying the toll, so to speak, to a Mr. Zuleman, the Desecrator. No relation to Agatha the Desecrator, I swear. As they make their way up to a puzzle dungeon. Now, puzzle dungeons, for the uninitiated, are these ruins that have been left behind and scattered all throughout Vitrium in these random locations that have mysterious loot inside of them, magic items galore, spells and traps and adventure. They're based on riddles and misdirection. And the only way you can get into these particular puzzle dungeons is with a very special coin. A mystery coin, as they're called, because although you can look at the coin and you can see what's on one side or the other side, you can never remember or ever describe what's on either side of the coin. No matter how many times you flip it around, you'll be looking at the head side, you'll flip it to the tail side, you'll forget what the head side looks like. So you flip it back to the head side, but you forget what the tail side looks like. So you flip it to the tail side, you forget what the head side looks like, and so on and so forth, ad nauseum. They're like mimetic hazards of sorts, but we don't worry about those too much. Still, these coins are given out by this group of esoteric individuals, some call cultists, but they're probably not, who knows, I don't, known as the Travelers, who are a group of mask and robe-wearing individuals that speak only in questions. Much to the chagrin of many a player that I have ever shown these individuals to. What can I say? Some people just don't like being asked the hard questions, like, maybe, who knows, I don't. Of which all three of those were statements, and only one of them was a question, but don't worry about that too much. But still, these puzzle dungeons are... well, the players make their way into the puzzle dungeon, and through tricks and traps and meeting various strange shades within the dungeon itself that sell items, question mark? There was a landlord involved at a point in time who was like, hey, these shades can't live here for free, they need to give me money! And so there was a bandit shade involved at some point in time. The players decided to... and Percival decided that she wanted to be the landlord instead of this puzzle dungeon. And so the battle was fought landlord v non-landlords, and, well, it was won. Go figure, party's still alive a few sessions later, so of course they won. But still, they managed to not only retrieve the artifact in question, but they were exposed to something else. When they touched this orb, those of them who did touch it were inflicted with dreams, so to speak, or perhaps memories of a time long ago where someone was shunted into the Shadowfell and slowly became corrupted by it, only to finally leave through the treachery of a friend's betrayal, and winding up in this vast desert island location area. The dreams so far, at the very least. Who's to say when the next one will come up, or if they will ever come up again? All luck dependent, I say. But still, with the orb in tow, the players begin to make their way back down to Mastermel's house. That is until they encounter Zuleman the Desecrator once more. And it is at this point in time that the players decide to take a more direct route with dealing with this toll keeper. So instead of paying the toll, they instead choose to punch him in the balls until he dies. It was not a good day for him. He kind of died. It was fun. Probably. But who knows? I certainly don't. What I do know is that the players managed to defeat him. Somehow. Somehow they managed to defeat him. But still, you know, it happens. People can get lucky.